Oh, yeah, yeah. Hello, nice people. How are you doing? This video, what does Jewish mean? What does it mean? Where does that word come from? What does Allah mean? Where does that word come from? And so much more. What does St. Paul, why did St. Paul change from Saul to Paul? I'm going to explain a lot. You're going to be shocked. Shocked, shocked, shocked. Firstly, let's look at where these people all came from. Where does Western civilization come from anyway? It comes from the very fertile lands around here. And this goes back to the Bible, Noah founding himself somewhere in the Caucasus, and civilization of the Indo-European spreading from there. And this is an official picture of Indo-European migrations from that area. Just incredible. So let's see what's going on. Red-headed peoples migrating out of here. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Oh, what does that mean? Lion of Judah. Something funny about that lion. Firstly, I'll let you work out what's funny about that lion, and then we'll continue. Just think about it. Just think about it, all right? All right. Oh, there's a picture of Allah. And it's dark. It's dark in the background. It's got like stars, like the Milky Way around. It's a mystery. Allah is a mystery. Why is Allah a mystery, though? And why is Allah not in an effigy? What's going on with that? And what does Allah mean? Firstly, Brien Foerster, thank you so much for discovering. You've done amazing work. Thank you for discovering that the people in Peru are from the Caucasus and from Black Sea and from exactly the area we've shown. And that's helped me to deduce that the gods of Western civilization are from the Caucasus. And we can use that to explain everything about Western civilization, which includes the Near East, Egypt, Rome, etc. Goes on and on. And this bloke from Chechnya, he looks almost British to me. A bit of a redhead. They still have relics. Everyone there 1,000 years ago was redheaded. Now there's less redheads living there. So let's get to it. So firstly, this video is a disclaimer. It's because I don't want to offend anyone, right? So I'm not saying anything insulting. It's just history. That's it. This video is ancient history. It's not religion. If you want religion, look elsewhere because some people cannot tell the difference. We're going to look at what Judea means. It's related to the word ether, Judea. It's a sky god from the Caucasus. We'll look at the origin of Paul. Paul sounds a little bit like Baal Allah Hila. Look at early Allah. In English, Allah seems to be in English as the word all, everything. Why? That's an interesting thing because it's also part of the Western civilization. I believe Allah might have something to do with Hila. In the Caucasus, this was a god of darkness. In Islam, almost everyone is always at risk of going to hell, hence the devout nature of the religion to avoid this. Hela in Germanic is a female deity living with fallen Loki, possibly his wife. They're living underground. And this is where we get the word hell from, okay? So, and for those who want to know more in the Germanic religion, she helps him to avoid being acid being dribbled on him by the underworld snake. Hell is mentioned all the time in the later books of the Quran. After the first two books, which seem almost St. Paulish to me, so is it based on the religion of Hela, which is Allah? I think it could be Allah. And these people migrated out of the Caucasus to the Holy Land and they took this god with them. So at the end of the world, in Islam we know, this is something Muhammad says, it will be so bad that families will not recognize each other, or they will say, oh, I do not recognize you. It's something that someone in the Bible did, St. Peter, actually. Interesting. So all from the Caucasus, center of Western civilization. And it's funny that archaeologists, if you look up a book on Western civilization, they will never say, look at the Caucasus. They will always say, oh, look at Israel, look at Egypt, look at Greece, look at Rome. You couldn't be further from the center. These are outposts, just as Peru is an outpost, as Foerster showed. And even Buddhism in early Europe, I believe, is the Druid religion. I believe it's the same word as Pitta, Buddha, Pythagoreanism, if that man even existed. Druid-like monks. This explains the monasticism even possibly before Christianity. although that is not claimed. It is claimed that monasticism happened as a result of Christianity, which totally doesn't explain the same people in Asia, Buddhist monks. All right. And then we have to ask, what is the word body even doing in the English language? Because it's so similar to Buddha, and a similar word bottom it's a rotund form. So we have clues that the word body refers to Buddha. And so much more in this video. I can't believe it. Oh, that line again. Well, what is up with that? Oh, I see now. Do you see? He's standing up, a bit like a bird. Now, what the hell is a lion doing standing up? I guess they're about to strike when they're like this, maybe. They stand up a bit like a snake. That's the snake DNA in cats. You know, cats have a ton of snake DNA. They curl up in jars just like snakes, and all these other behaviours, their eyes and all this. But why is he standing up? Usually you don't see a lion standing up. That's because it wasn't originally a lion. I reckon it's something more like that. Something more like a bird. And you could, even the mane is a bit like the feathers in a way. It was originally a bird. And Judea means sky god in the Caucasus. We're going to see that. That'll pop up. We'll see that. Also, Paul the Apostle. This is something really interesting. So he changed his name from Saul because that wasn't good enough. And he said, I'm changing my name to Paul. And no one the hell knows why. No one the hell knows why. It's one of the mysteries of Christianity. I'm going to explain why. Because Saul and Paul are both gods from the Caucasus, and they mean things. Saul, Sela, is the male god. Like, he's similar to Zeus. And he is evil. He keeps the knowledge. He manifests on earth as a salty form, because the word is the same. And the salt was the miracle substance of the ancient world. It does everything for you. It really helps to make chemical reactions happen. It's a bit of a catalyst. It's an enhancer. It's a preservative. But all the salt was only given by a person called Pharmact, where we get the word pharmacy. And he was basically a figure who gave us, he was a Thoth-like figure. But he changed his name to Paul. What does Paul mean? Okay, let's get to that. Paul is similar to Baal, isn't it? So we could have Baal in the Bible. The name Paul could come from Baal. The name Saul could come from Sela. There is a Balaam in the Caucasus also, which may be an origin of Baal. What else is going on? This is really interesting. He changed his name from the name of one god to the name, or possibly, of another god. Fascinating. Let's continue. And that name is similar to Allah also, which is interesting. But I don't think it's the same. I think that Allah might be a more healer in there. Okay, let's go. So here's an Islamic website. Why isn't Apostle Paul mentioned in the Quran? And it's really interesting, isn't it? Jesus is barely mentioned in the Quran. There's a book about Jesus and Mary. It hardly mentions Jesus and Mary, which I find a little bit disappointing. And why is Paul not mentioned? And one of the answers is they say that Paul corrupted the message of Jesus, which is very interesting because he kind of did. But when I read the two first books of the Quran, it sounds like 20th century. You may as well be in a Baptist church. It sounds so Christian. The first two books of the Quran, all about peace and love and all this stuff from the 1960s. It's amazing. So is he really not in the Quran? That's interesting. Okay, we'll go to the next part. The Chechens. So the Chechens are one of the Weihnacht groups, and they became Muslims in the later the late modern. They call it the late modern period, which is basically after 1500. So possibly in response to the presence of the Ottoman Empire when it was very large. Before that, they had their own religion, and to understand their religion, we're going to look at their religion, their gods. And we've made videos about this before, but we're really getting into it even more now. To understand the ancient world, we need to not just look at the ruins, people. Historians, archaeologists, mythologists, scientists, classicists will never understand it on their own, because we need people who can step up, who are inquisitive about all the fields. We need to look at mythology, religion, gods, the dispersion of humans from Caucasus, taking their gods to the Holy Land, Britain, Rome, etc. And I also look for rhyming words, as this was the Druid slang, in order to assist me in this, because I notice that all these gods from the Caucasus, they actually rhyme with each other. Bala, Allah, Sila, Hila, they all rhyme. There was a rhyme about them, songs about them. And much of this knowledge could have disappeared. And of course, we know the trickster, the jester, the jester is called the jester because he told jests. They were called jests, which was it was basically a play. A jest is a kind of play. And he was a wise fool because he was a druid who told clever rhymes. So people in ancient times were named after gods today. For example, Muhammad. Not a god, obviously, but people were in ancient times named after gods. So why did Paul metamorphosize from Saul, clearly Sila, then it comes from Sila, salt, to Paul? And I think it could be because Hela is the god of hell. And in Islam, they're really concerned about avoiding hell. Really concerned about it. And it's mentioned so much in the Quran, it's unbelievable. So, Ita, the Jewish religion, the falcon god. So the Jews possibly come from the falcon god, and that was the symbol we showed you earlier. There's something wrong with that line. He's standing up. Is he a falcon god? And the word is similar to Ita, is similar to ether, which is the air. And it's some Aether, Judea. There are similarities. We've mentioned, is Paul mentioned in the Quran? Is he not mentioned in the Quran? We've covered that. Sila, salt, sodium as a miracle. Now, this was a miracle chemical of ancient times. So I believe it was thought to come from this god, this supreme deity. This is where we get Silbury Hill from. And this enhances elasticity in the rising of bread. They could even have used it in stone making or stone leavening, as I mentioned. It enhances cleaning. Whoops. It enhances every metallurgical and chemical industry somehow via its different forms. It enhances cheese and cheese making. It's a preservative. You put it in every food. It's in every food. But Sila is cruel in Chechen mythology, and this could be one reason why Paul might have transmogrified into Baal from Sila, because Sila was a bad man. He was a murderer. He killed for the Romans. He was a tax man as well. You can't get any. Oh, not only was he a murderer, but he might have collected debts and taxes. You cannot get worse than that. And of course, in Islam, we know that usury and too much interest is forbidden. So, there we go. So we can't have people collecting debts and taxes. So he totally changed into something else. Wow, that's amazing. So it could have been that Balaam was seen as less cruel. So he changed his name from the name of a cruel god into the name of a less cruel god. And on the other hand, salt of the earth, not worth your salt. Salt was seen as a good thing from this cruel god. And we get words like something that's on sale at a Sela hill, a harvest hill, because that's where they had the sales at Silbury Hill in ancient times. And until the 20th century, they were still holding annual markets at hills. People drove their cattle from all over England to these harvest hills, they called them. And they had a big sale and a festival. Sol, the sun, solar, and even sails, because sails are white, maybe the colour of Sela, salt, or the sun, the white sun. And it may have been painted with Sela's effigy in ancient times. And the daughter of Sela is Satan, Satanaya. And Satanaya, clearly Satan, the watcher, the eyes of Satan. It has also been derived as the Slav word sto, naga, 100 snakes, or even, I reckon, 100 eyes. Could be 100 eyes as well. And that's a watcher. And the watchers are the witches, and the witches are the knowers. Because in the Slav language, which means viech, we've covered this in an earlier video, the knower. Fascinating. Oh, the gods. So this is the Chechens and the English people, the Weihnacht. Okay, So let's look into it, and let's just go through this. It's very interesting, and we even see clues about the origin of Giza. Why is it called Giza? It's because the Weihnacht shining mountain was actually called Mount Kazbek. If I just search for that, Mount Sela. He's the god of stars, thunder, and lightning. He's an evil and cruel god. He has a loose bag made of animal skin. That actually sounds a lot like that effigy, the Wilmington giant. He's carrying a skin. Yeah, that's actually Sela, not Hercules. Held the night stars, lightning, and thunder. Lives on top of Mount Kazbek, sounds like Giza, with his fiery chariot. So he's a shining god of salt, which is white. Solar, possibly, as well. So white. So we make the pyramid white. And that sounds like pharmacy. Pharmact stole his magic and wisdom to give to humans. And it goes on and on. It's very interesting. Sata, or Satan, or Sila Sata, is the wife or daughter. And it goes on and on and on. Even Ishtar is in there. So that actually comes from the Caucasus, that Levantine god. And there's so much. And these all tend to all rhyme with each other, as mentioned. Just amazing. Just amazing. And it goes on and on and on. And where is the Jewish god? I told you I'd get to this. Oh, Balaam, by the way. That's Baal. Not much is known about him or her. Unfortunately, lots has been destroyed and lost. Unfortunately, they've stopped saying the Druidic rhymes, so we don't quite know. But we see the origin of the earlier Jewish god. Why are they called this? They're possibly named after a god. Where is it? Oh, by the way, Alta is the god of the hunt, the high one. Where is it? We're going to get to it in a second. Oh my God, the suspense. The suspense is amazing. Ida, the king of birds, a falcon who comes every morning to tear it. Pharmat's liver. Okay, that's also in the Greek mythology. But also, check this out. The Cyclops is called I. Ouya. And we use the same word in English. Ouya. Fascinating. And he changed Pharmact to the top of Mount Kazbek. Oh, very interesting. Guys, I thank you for your attention.